thank you for chatting with us today to talk about how small businesses can do business like the People's Shark. Something that I think is so amazing about how you have really guided a lot of small businesses is I've noticed you are great at embracing failure as a reality of running a business. It creates an opportunity to learn. And I think that's incredibly powerful and encouraging for small businesses. But diving right in, you're no stranger to growing businesses, right? Of all sizes, of whatever global scale. Can you tell us a little bit more about your history in helping small businesses and what advice would you give to owners looking to grow today?
Well, I think that, my history has been obviously, I invested in, I believe 97 companies on Shark Tank. So I've seen it all and I've gotten thousands of pitches. There are a couple of key things in regards to, when I talk to other small businesses. First of all, failure is something that you have to, embrace. And it's not failure, it's part of the process, right? So most companies, they actually fail because of overfunding. They spend too much on too big of things because they believe that that's what they need. So instead of taking putting up a $1,000 Facebook page, they put up a $20,000 website instead of getting a kiosk to see if their stuff moves during the holiday season. They sign a lease on a store for 7 years. So taking affordable steps is something that I always teach them. That failure is part of the process. A true entrepreneur, they act, they learn, and then they repeat. Also that, as an entrepreneur, you can't know everything. You need to be a little bit vulnerable. You have this passion for whether it's putting out a service, a product, whatever the case is. This is what you know. You want to solve people's problems. You can't know about everything else from finance to shipping to social media to setting up all these ITs or HR or communication, all these other forms of communication. You know what you know best. And what you need to do is be able to outsource to the people that know what you want to accomplish best so that you don't have to build it all yourself. There are people, just like RingCentral here who have been, focusing on this. They understand communication. They know where the pitfalls are and they know where their advantages are. And if they're doing all of that, then I believe you always work with other people who are specialists in there so you can concentrate on what you can concentrate on. And that's how you grow a global business.
It sounds like what you're saying is a good entrepreneur has to be humble enough to know that they don't know everything and to find people that are potentially smarter than, hopefully smarter than them, to do parts of the business that, help you scale. Working and really having a small business today looks pretty different, mostly because there's like this changing digital landscape. But obviously over the past couple years, dynamics like managing remote teams, hybrid teams, connecting with customers that expect to, honestly, it's not just a storefront anymore, right? They expect digital experiences. So these are kind of new variables that have become more prominent in the past couple years and really have become a new normal. So how can small businesses successfully navigate these new environments?
Well, first of all, they have to embrace that this is the new environment and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow as we know it in this form, right? And they have to understand that as much opportunity is out there, there's as much confusion. So, I used to always say that you want to be one step away from the money. And I love where we are today. Today's brands and or small businesses that are growing. We witnessed in COVID when somebody was, they had to close their store and all their customers are right down the block, but they had no way to talk to them. They had no direct connection. When I grew up in the business, what did I do? I made a shirt, maybe Macy's would buy it, maybe the kid in the store puts it out on the rack, maybe the person buys it, and I have no idea why they bought it or they didn't buy it. Did they buy it for themselves or their son, or was it a gift? If they return it, why did they return it? Where did I go wrong? But today, with communication, you talk directly to your customer and you can say, what would you like to see for next season? Is there any issue we had? Oh my God, you have a complaint. How can I make this better? More importantly though, we were stuck where geographically we can, get our employees and hopefully great talent. But what is the core of your business? The bloodline of your business is your talent. Now, You can get talent all around the world. However, the communication needs to be key. That's the only thing that separates us from the animals, right? Communication, right? And if you have somebody on the other side of the world, maybe somebody you were in the service with who now moved to California, you can work with them. Somebody you worked with for 20 years, your sister, your brother, or somebody at a more, a more effective price. Well, communication is key though, because you're no longer getting this. You and I are walking down the hallway. Hey, Esther, you remember the conversation we had a little day? Did you talk to Todd about that? You know what? You no longer have that. So now your communication has to be just that more in place, effective. And that's why you need systems that can operate this. And everybody's not going to have the same way they communicate. Right? They may want to talk directly to you on your number. They may want to see you visually. You have no idea. And if you have these options now, this is really the thing that helps you scale.
So if I were to distill what you said, which I was just absorbing, is it kind of creates an opportunity for small businesses to level the playing field with some of the bigger brands with maybe the larger budgets that maybe had the relationships with the large, storefronts and retailers. You kind of see this especially on social media platforms where people are popping up e-commerce stores. But back to the team side is you have access to a talent pool that's not limited to your geography, right? And then not only that, you were mentioning insights, the data that you can get from these digital channels on why did someone abandon or not purchase or return. You have more access to information in this kind of new world. And then lastly, I loved your call to action to small businesses, which is be intentional, right? You cannot assume that just by accident you're going to replicate those, magic moments or those spontaneous communications, like those water cooler drive-by conversations. You have to be intentional about like, hey, let's connect, let's communicate. We're not animals, right? We need to communicate. Yeah.
And listen, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is why I find so much value in what you're doing, because I have the same challenges, right? Communication is key to a business. That's, you're communicating externally to the people that are supporting you, and you're communicating internally. So we're all marching in unison. And there will be challenges, but communication is key.
People are essential to any part of your business, right? Whether it's your customers, your partners, your employees. So what do you do to keep those relationships strong? What are, quite honestly, would love to know what your toolkit is to keep those relationships strong.
I'm learning just like everybody else in this new day and age. My toolkit has always been to have an open door of communication, allow people to feel like they can voice whatever's going on in their life. It doesn't mean you're going to necessarily agree. Hopefully have a little bit of transparency to tell them what I'm dealing with, in return. It's not personal matters, right? This person showed up to work, and this person is working. Either they want to feed their family, they want to grow in the company, whatever the case may be. But showing them how the business works if they feel like they're stumbling, and understand this is our end goal in the business, and if you can help with this, then this is how we are rewarded. But it's really about transparency and openness. And I can't say that you're necessarily going to have the best results from it, but at least you left everything on the field and there was not the gray area. And even when that happens, there still will be gray areas, but it's constantly trying to improve on the communication. But greater leadership is the best part. I love leaders that are smarter than me. And I want to allow them to communicate with what they feel is the best interest of the company, because I don't need anybody. If I'm smarter than everybody else, then there's a problem. And that's the best part about leadership. If you really allow people to take action and really, make their decisions, and, you show up when the time is needed because you have to run your division.
I'm getting 3 key themes that I'm hearing over and over, and I love it because it's being so crystallized in my brain, hearing you answer all these questions. It's the humility aspect of knowing when you're not the smartest on a certain topic. And it's the discipline of optimization, continually looking at how do I make things better, whether it's your operating model or it's how you communicate with your teams, always evolving and learning. And then the last one I'm hearing is just staying intentional, be deliberate in everything that you do. Nothing should be like necessarily an accident. Be thoughtful in the way you communicate to your customers, not just trying to pitch to them like everybody else all the time. These are really amazing, I guess, foundational principles for a lot of small businesses.